And we're live. Hey everyone, welcome back. Oh, I should probably actually put that on a different phone. Going just so smoothly at 12:30 a.m. here in Australia, which is about 10:30 a.m. On our guest time. So as you can imagine, I'm here with Ads. Ads, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. It is the early hours of the morning and I'm wide awake.
Yep,
Wide
exactly.
awake.
And we're here with a special guest. I assume that I should use your middle name like it is on Facebook, right?
You don't have to. I don't. It's just I don't know. I've had my Facebook for 15 years, so I don't know why I put my middle name on there.
Just feels so formal. But we actually have Tyler. We are going to ask some questions of and maybe berate a little bit as well. We've already prepped Tyler by saying that there is a possibility here that we're going to not be as nice as perhaps we should be. That's a lie.
We're actually use the term torture and ridicule.
We're generally pretty nice, let's be honest. So, how long has it been since HG actually started? It's like, what, 18 months now? 19 months?
8 months.
8 months?
Yeah, we opened for business in January.
Jeez, it feels like longer than that.
It does, trust me.
I think it's probably just because I've been following you.
Was it a has been locked down and going, no, stuff it, we're going to open a grading company?
Yeah, it was my COVID project. Yeah, we'll call it this. So we, I mean, obviously a big card collector, had been for years, and when everything was shutting down here, I was like, man, I started noticing more because I started grading more cards, and there was just a lot of inconsistency. So I want to try to bring that to the table.
Yeah. Not only that, but I guess we should probably touch on the fact that you have one of the prettiest slabs in the business. And if people don't know, you can go and check out Hybrid Grading Approach and have a look at their slab tags, because actually I actually have some, because I want to whinge about one. Let me just pull one from my
You're gonna whinge about one. I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts.
I have plenty of thoughts. None of them are usually good.
I'm still coining the term. I'm coining the term cosmetic slab.
I get it.
One for a card that's not graded.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is something that that you guys just introduced, right? PC slabbing.
Yeah, so we introduced PC slabbing. I think it was probably 5 or 6 weeks ago that we opened up PC slabbing. We had a lot of people that wanted to get their kids' cards graded, or non-licensed cards, just slabbed and protected. So yeah, we just opened up PC slabbing.
It's an interesting market, because I mean, it doesn't technically increase the value of the card, but it does increase the aesthetics.
Yes, and it protects it. So in case in the future, if it's a PC card and then they didn't want to have a grader, never thought about moving it, but years down the road, it's still going to be in its normal condition, in the same condition, so they can have it regraded.
Yep, correct. And well, I guess the thing that came to my mind, because I've got a bunch of cards. I've got graded cards, and then I've got raw cards that are in different storage. So being able to sort of have that slab effect, so that the cards that aren't graded can sit with the cards that are. I think it's I actually think it's a really good idea.
Right.
I think it's a cosmetic thing, hence the term I keep using of cosmetic slabs, because it does.
I like it. If you ever want to sell that, let me know.
Yep.
Well, it's funny because when we saw the whole, like, the PC slabbing thing, it's like, why wouldn't you just call it cosmetic grading? Because it just sounds so much more like on that professional level, where it's like PC slab sounds like, or PC grading is just like, I get it, but yeah,
nothing politically correct about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Cosmetic slab.
Yeah.
But talking about cosmetic slabs, so my big bugbear since I came back into the hobby, and I think most people already know, but I come from the world of Magic the Gathering, where I was a content creator for, the last 10 years, writing articles for multiple US sites and stuff like that. Funny when you can't get work in Australia writing about Magic the Gathering, but Americans are more than willing to pay for writers. It's like, oh, okay, why didn't I try this before?
Right.
Because I've been writing for free for like pretty much most of that 10 years. It was only like 3 years ago that somebody poked me and was like, hey, I like your stuff. Come write for me. And I was like, I mean, I'm happy where I am. It's like, we'll pay you this amount. I was like, wait, you pay? Because Australians are so used to like not getting paid for this kind of stuff. But coming back into it and finding about the whole grading thing has exploded and everyone's all about grading, and then seeing all the horrible slabs out there. Like PSA haven't updated anything for like, the last 20 years other than putting a little bit of foil on there and doing a slight, tag redesign that still looked exactly like a PSA slab, which is bad.
Yep.
BGS looks like your father's uncle's grandfather's butler, like bringing you a club sandwich.
What?
Yeah, bringing you a club sandwich, like on a giant silver platter, and it's just like, but you're breaking this thing out, and it's supposed to look upper class, but it just looks tacky for a club sandwich. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And then seeing HGA come along, and it makes me excited because it's like, oh, here's something it's not taking my eye away from the card. It's accentuating the card itself, and it makes the card actually look better in my opinion. I know that there's some other podcasters here in Australia who see that the other way. They feel like the tag takes away from the card. It's like, you know what? That's fine. That's your opinion. I think you're wrong. Because I don't want, like, and to pull out an example, like, grab a PSA slab. Actually, let's.
Well, on that, you're talking about getting into a market where BGS and PSA are the big two in the industry.
I like to call those the king shit.
Yeah, king shit. That's right. In order to compete with that, you've got to have something new to bring to the table. So I do like the way that these tags do pop out a lot more and really, I guess, complement the slab itself.
Yes. There we go. Just to do
that was a big thing with us. I mean, so we have the AI software, grading software, and they are giving me we're supposed to have it up tomorrow, the demonstration of it. We'll see how, as long as everything goes good today, and we get everything approved, then we're going to be launching that tomorrow. If we have to make any tweaks, it might be Monday. So that'll be the first time everybody's been able to see our actual AI software in action. So we're really excited about that. The big holdup there was always our patents, but the other big thing that separates us from the other companies is obviously the aesthetics of the label. And we're very proud of how we've continued to redesign it, and we offer customs and such now. And the whole thing is to add value to the slab and add aesthetics to the slab. I mean, they get boring in the BGS, just like y'all said. It looks like my grandpa's 1960 golf trophy nameplate on there. Yeah. And so just not very appealing to have them out and displayed around. And that's kind of what we wanted to also bring to the table. And obviously that's a big thing because all these other smaller companies that are popping up now, they're doing the same thing we've done. They're trying to do plastic printing or also colored labeled now. And I'm like, okay, so we obviously hit something there because everybody's trying to imitate it.
They're trying. They're failing pretty bad for most of the part.
Right.
I've got questions in the chat. I've got Hendo asking, can he get a 28 card cosmetic slab for his Randall Cunningham mosaic PC?
Absolutely. We just had somebody do a whole rainbow PC of mosaic of, oh man, it was some off the wall player the other day. So yeah, we do like full rainbow slabs. So yeah, we do anything.
There we go. There you go, Hendo.
It's just funny because this is like something that I was going to ask later, but I guess I'll ask it now. Card thickness. I know that at the moment, I'm pretty sure there was a post on one of the HGA groups about 35 point only at this point because you're waiting on new molds. Is that correct for like booklets and stuff?
So the only thing we don't do right now is booklets. We have all the way from 35 point all the way to 360 point slabs for standard size cards. We do not do booklets yet.
I'm sorry, what's that? I should send in all my Noir Carson Edwards to get graded? That sounds like a great idea. All right.
I like the fact that it's not yet. Not yet with booklets.
Not yet.
Right, not yet.
Soon. Big bugbear for me. The pop report. What the fuck is going on with the pop report? Is that going to be fixed soon?
Yeah, so they We are actually asking anybody who's had pop report problems to send us their order numbers. So as we continue to update the system, and this is something I'm not real familiar with, is all the coding for it. So I'll try to speak as well as my IT team explains it to me. Anytime they do updates to the pop report, sometimes the coding doesn't exactly roll over each time as smoothly as they expect. And so there's some orders that sometimes could go missing on updates. And so that's what we're going back through right now and making sure that every card is on the pop report. So, and to make it live. So we've added a new step into our system, and it took an extra 6 people, but it's literally to verify every single card that comes through here is correct and labeled properly, and that it shoots right to the pop report immediately. And we should be turning that live in like 2 weeks. So you'll see it again, because we had it live at one point, but when it was people were sending in their cards, it was taking the names that they were punching in, and then it was just messing up our whole pop report. It was just making it unclean. So now we rebuilt the pop report's backside to where it won't take the name and stuff until after we do a new step called mastering, and we make sure that it's actually proper.
All right, great, excellent.
Nice.
Because I can tell you right now, I did my last submission had Tyrese Halliburton redback hoops, and it is nowhere on the pop report at all.
Yep.
So that's
that's what we're going through. I got 6 people working on nothing but the pop report, trying to figure out all the bugs, nuances, and they're going to continue to watch over until it runs seamlessly now.
Now, we had Tyson Beck on the show last week, whom you might have heard of from his top 70 stuff and his, awesome player licensed custom cards that he's been doing. Will HGA grade those? Does HGA need like a checklist or something? Because there was some confusion with Beckett where Beckett said the representative said the wrong thing when they rejected the submission from the person who was sending it through, and basically just said, no, we don't do custom cards, fuck off. When what they actually meant was, oh, we don't actually have a checklist for this yet, and if we can get a checklist, then we can grade it. But they didn't actually explain that.
Yeah, if it's unlicensed, then we just need a checklist. If it's like a set like Tyson Beck does, we would need a checklist to provide that into our system, and then it would be able to be added to the pop report and such. So that's the biggest thing about trying to do unlicensed cards, since there's not a lot of checklists to go off of. It's really hard for us to verify that the cards are authentic. So yeah, we would need a checklist to be able to put those cards into our pop report and to grade them. Until then, people could slab them, just for PC and collections.
Next up on the chopping block is HGA, unlike PSA, don't do an upcharge after grading. What was the decision, the conscious decision there? Like, obviously, from my point of view, like, I've done customer service now for like the last 20 years. And to me, charging the customer after grading the card is not customer service at all. That's just kind of
daylight robbery is what that is.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and I wanted to bring this up because I know firsthand, again, after doing a submission, that you guys don't upcharge, which is good. It's exactly what you would expect, because you've paid for a service, and then to have a surprise charge on its way back, like basically a ransom that you have to pay to get your cards back, is kind of shitty. Because,
Yeah, so the biggest reason, I'll just be honest, when I was sending cards in about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I sent in, as soon as Prism dropped for Jaw, I hit a Silver Signatures Jaw, and I sent it in, and at PSA 10, I put the value was worth $5,000 because that was a fair market at the time. They told me that they declared it was worth $25,000 and charged me $2,500 to grade it. And I'm like, wait a second. So I called them. They're like, that's just what we put the value on. I'm like, wait, so you charge me from $200 to $2,500 because you say it's worth that? And that's the biggest reason that we went to where we're just, charging flat fees, because to me, that is, they're holding us at ransom. They can tell me that they think the car's worth $100,000, and if I want it back, I have to pay $10,000. There's nothing I can do about it. I pay the money that they tell me, or I don't get it back.
That's a very bold claim from PSA. It's such a gray area, because
it is.
Who's to say that he breaks his leg 3 minutes into his rookie year and his rookie card's worth jack shit?
Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah, and I ended up selling the card because they declared it to be worth around $25,000, because that's just what the charge ended up being. It was $2,500. And so when I actually sold it, it sold for like $5,200, and I'm like, yeah, it makes no sense. So I ended up paying literally 50% of the cost of the card. What I sold it for was to grading.
Yeah.
Wow. The idea, and that, like, in my mind, the idea of grading a card, You pay a fixed amount for the service, and then any exponential value on that card is the collectors, the person that actually
100. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And that's why the only argument that even remotely makes sense for PSA to do that is that their insurance costs, while it's in house goes up. But typically those 10, 20, 30,000, $100,000 cards, they're only there for 2 days. So by the time you have to reevaluate, because you have to do weekly reports with us and we have to submit it to our insurance weekly, by the time it comes in and goes out, it's just such a small fraction of time that most of the time it's not actually fully included inside your insurance policy. So it's covered by your umbrella, but it's not included in your daily policy. And it really does not affect their insurance policy as much as they would like somebody to think, unless people are sending in, lots of cards, like high dollar cards for longer terms, but the PSA does not allow that. So
yeah,
well, it's just a way for them to continue to charge more.
Like, you're not going to be able to send in like 10 Jordan, Fleer rookies and say, I want this on the longest possible time. They're just going to turn around and say, well, no, these are above a certain level. They have to be submitted under this, under the gold level.
Yep, and they go ahead and grade them, and then they charge you $10,000.
Yeah. So the next question, this one came from Facebook, was how does HGA get around grading cards with multiple corners, such as die cuts or SPX Michael Jordan signature edition? Very specific. I think you know the one I mean. It's the one with the
die cut card and this one specific card.
Yeah, they were pretty specific, but yeah, I know which one they're talking about. So it's very easy to define that inside of a computer algorithm. So when the AI is built out, it's just where any 2 points intersect and make an end. And so they were able to incorporate that. Most cards have 4 corners, but some die cuts like superstars and stuff out of Panini contenders and stuff, they'll have like 7 or 8 corners. That's where it defines the corner as the tip of it, plus like the first 1/8 inch either way. On the corner, and then the diagonal dissection through it. Yeah. So it's pretty easily defined by a computer and even by a human. When you're looking at it, you can find where a corner is versus an edge.
Yeah, it's funny. I just basically went on because it was from the HGA group today, and I almost called somebody an idiot because I was like, "Do you not know what a fucking corner is?" Like, and any time that 2 sides meet and intersect in any way, it doesn't have to be a point. Even if it's rounded, it's still a corner.
Correct.
Because when you are driving on the road and you're going around a bend, it is a fucking corner.
Yep.
I just thought it was
it's crazy the stuff that people just misunderstand, and I want to use my everyday tone and be like, "Are you an idiot or something?"
Yeah, but I can do that.
I have to be professional, and I'm like, "Oh man, it's hard. I have to bite my tongue and then just lay my phone down and walk away and just shake my head."
That's how you got people like me running around just shitting on people. It's just such a stupid fucking, stupid comment to make of well, how do you define a corner? What are you talking about? There's
somebody
Webster's
posted,
definitions.
Yeah, somebody posted a Pokemon card and they said, "Wow, how did the corners get a 9? It'd have to be a 10 because they're rounded, so there is no corners on this card." And I'm like,
it's probably the same dickhead because he was like, "I don't see any corners on this." I'm like, "Do you understand how corner couches work, buddy? No? How about a corner desk? No? Okay. Clearly you've just not lived life ever."
Yeah. Just when people said that, and I thought he was being sarcastic until I read his comments and he was defending his original comment over and over, and I'm like, I give up. Yep. You can't even make sense of it.
The last one tied directly to HGA is HGA in Australia when ?
So that is something that we are working on right now. We're trying to get everything lined up here, running smooth, and cut down all the issues we've had. So we're bringing in automation and robotics. I actually have an announcement this evening, our time, so it'd be probably tomorrow morning your time, or something. And but we're moving into robotics and a lot of machine automation inside. So we want to get everything perfect here, and then Australia is our next location to open.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
Now, will you be overseeing that opening, and will it be something that you'll be franchising out to another company? Which I can't imagine you will. But
I will personally oversee it, and we will own it. I don't want to franchise it out because I don't want to take a chance of like McDonald's franchises stuff out, and you can run across a bad McDonald's versus a good McDonald's. And I want to make sure that we're standard across the board everywhere we open.
I feel like we've discussed that before in one of our conversations, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't make sense. So the other question that is also tied to that. So you've got a couple of bulk submitters here at the moment. There's, I think, 2 different companies. One of them is run by Mint Collectibles, and the other one is Double Coverage Media. I know that I've applied on my site, and a couple of other people. When bulk submissions happen, if you have a location open in Australia, will that somewhat bring down the price of submission within Australia? And we're not talking like it's obviously not going to be like halved or anything like that, but I imagine that some of that cost will be reduced.
The postage costs.
Well, yeah, obviously postage costs, but that's neither here nor there. The submission cost at the moment is like fairly good. I know there was some kickback a couple of months ago when you guys were looking at raising the prices a little bit.
Right.
And that's fair. People called it out, just saying like, well, why won't I just grade with like PSA or whatever? And I know there was a bit of a backtrack there, and like, okay, well, look, we'll just look to get the money in other ways, and we'll figure that out. This directly ties me into, and I know how this is going to go down, but this is one of the things that I was thinking of, is that there's enough space on the back of a slab tag where you could potentially get a sponsor logo in there. Is that something that HGA has considered to offset costs?
So we've thought about that. We've had people approach us about even black labeling our labels, and we've had people wanting to put stuff into our packages when they ship. And so we're at the drawing board on lots of that. The big thing with us, and which everybody will see through our AI, our process is so much slower. So the average person here can handle 100 to 150 cards a day. Through PSA, what we've been able to find through their public records, since they were a publicly traded company, is each employee is handling 400 to 500 cards a day there. So we're a third as efficient as them because our process takes so much longer with the times of the scanning. Like just in the past couple months, we've created over 100 terabytes of storage of our images. So it's a very slow process as it moves through here, and then it has to be graded, then it has to go through human graders. Then we have to create each label. Every single label here is custom designed. Even if it's just like your neutral and your card splash, it is still custom designed and hand typed in. So it's just a much slower process. And I mean, there's going to be some price changes coming in the future. We just can't stay viable as a company long term without having some changes going around. So yes, we're looking at possibly adding sponsors, allowing people to ship stuff in our boxes. Just calling out their companies and stuff. So yeah, we're looking at all ways to create additional revenue to make us maintain viable whilst keeping our prices low.
Mm-hmm. As long as it's not sports card investor, I'll be happy.
Right.
Hashtag shade.
Well, I further
Agreed.
to that, I guess sponsorship's one thing, but actually collaborating with the people that produce accessories. Like I'll use Ultra Pro as one of those for like companies. Like having accessories that complement your slabs has to be beneficial as for both parties, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So we have the store, which we've been trying to get open for a while. We have so many other projects going on behind the scenes, and that's what my big announcement's going to be. Just kind of give an update of all that's happened in the past 2 months. Yep. The store, the merchandise store and accessory store has been put on the back burner, but I think it should launch next Friday is, I believe, the date that we have definite for that. And that will include tons of card stands that are custom molded and colored to match cards so that people can buy whatever colors they want. And there are cards, our holders will actually snap right down inside of them. So we have lots of things coming down the pipeline, but it's just, it's a lot to accomplish in the 8 months that we've been technically open to the public.
Yeah, I was going to say it's one of those things where you open and then all of a sudden there's just ideas flowing everywhere. Yep. And it can be a lot. It can be very overwhelming, but I guess you sort of you filter through all that stuff, and eventually these side projects sort of come to fruition in due course.
Yeah. So we start working on them, and then halfway through the project, you're like, oh, this would be even better if we do it this way. So a lot of times you'll get halfway through a project when you're almost ready to launch it like a store, and then we're like, hey, it'd be better to host it on this one because then we can tie it to this and this and this. And so then you go back to the drawing board, and like we've rebuilt the store 3 times. I mean, it's a lot of times, we've redesigned stuff, and then after we spent probably a couple hundred man hours on it, then we decide, yeah, that's not like we thought it would turn out. Let's not do that. So it's a lot of trial and error when you're doing something like this because there's not a whole lot of models to go off of.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've got a question in the chat here from Carpet Punter. What do you think is going to happen when Fanatics come in a few years' time? Is that going to change grading companies overall? Is it going to be something that they'll be looking to work in partnership with, or is something that's on your radar? Or
from what we're gathering as we try to stay on top of it, it seems like they're going to hopefully make a bid to try to buy out Panini and or Topps. And then if they are able to purchase both companies, we think that they're going to allow both companies to share their licensing. So then Panini will also be able to actually make licensed baseball, and then Topps will be able to make licensed football and basketball like they used to do. That's one of the most observant speculations that we are thinking that might come into play, and which we think would be great. I mean, Topps Bowman Chrome basketball and football, obviously that was the standard for a while with the Brady Chrome rookies and the Topps Chrome LeBrons. So that's the ideal situation I think that could come of all this, and maybe just a little bit better QA, quality assurance coming from both companies, and they could probably learn a lot off each other, because I'm sure that Topps and Panini don't sit there and help each other right now. But if you had a parent company to both of them, they would obviously try to see what works best at each place and then try to implement it at each.
Yeah, maybe Panini will learn to cut cards fucking correctly. That'd be lovely.
Exactly. Because I know people mention all the time, like, oh, another Luis Robert 10 at your company. I'm like, listen, I was like, it's not our fault that Topps quality control is better than Panini's. Panini's probably producing a ton more cards.
It's funny you should mention that, because I actually have a Luis Robert here that I actually got in a break, one of the RCs from Chrome that I probably should send in.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, the percentage is almost 3 times as high with Topps getting flawless than it is Panini. They're just better cut cards.
Yeah, Panini. Yeah. Oh, I guess. Wait, what do you say about that?
Actually, it's
right. They're punching out tons of cards, and I get it. And I mean, there's mistakes, but I mean, you've seen some of our mislabeled on the Marcus Smart, and I think we did a Jordan the other day where it's the card's halfway off of the image is halfway off the card. So
yeah.
Like I said, I mean, they do a great job. I think they brought a lot of cool ideas to the sports grading world, and I think they do a fair job.
It's funny you should bring up the label issue, because I would like to talk to you personally about a submission. So this is the 1989 Fleer Magic Johnson sticker. I specifically say Magic Johnson because, yes, at the time, Irvin Johnson, but since has changed his name. This is a really important thing, especially for myself, because my partner is gender non-binary, and has undergone a name change.
Right.
So when I look at Irvin Johnson, I think Magic Johnson.
Right.
Specifically with the PSA card that came back, it is labeled as Magic Johnson. However, with the HGA card, even though in my submission I did list it as Magic Johnson, it came back as Irvin Johnson.
Correct. So I think the only thing there is because we are trying to follow just strictly by the checklist is exactly why we labeled, I believe the card, does the card actually say Irvin Johnson on it?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we just follow that, so that way it's easier if somebody is trying to look up population reports and they know the set, they're going to type in Irvin Johnson. So we just follow the checklist. It's not a personal choice, or anything like that. It's just we're just following checklists, and that way it's appropriately filed inside of our system.
Cool, that's fair.
Like as a general rule, yeah, following the checklist makes sense, I guess.
Yeah,
it does. It does to a certain degree. My only concern is like recently there was a UFC fighter who has changed gender,
Mhm.
and they
Valid.
go under a new name now. I guess the previous cards will still be under their dead name because of the checklist.
Yes, correct.
Which
And then the new ones would be with the new name.
yeah, exactly. Which I'm sure people, if it happens out that way, I'm sure people will get up in arms. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, if the explanation is clear, which is, hey, we go by the checklist, and at this point in time, you know, this particular name was on the checklist, and that's what's on the card, so that's what we use. That's more than an appropriate response for that kind of issue. So
Right.
I think
Yeah, and that's all it is. Like I said, I mean, as a business, I try not to put too many of my personal feelings inside. I try not to take any subjective stances. I mean, because as a business, you want to be sustainable. So we made sure that all custom labels, we have people write in, they want rebel flags and communist flags, and I mean, just the craziest stuff on their stuff. And I'm like, listen, we don't do anything that's subjective. We don't want to bring any negative attention, and we need to stay as neutral in everything as we can. I was like, so just make it as neutral everything as you can, so that way we don't have to deal with the backlash, because I end up having to deal with it because people will question me, oh, are you homophobic, or do you hate communists, or do you hate that? Like, no, we don't, none of that. But we try to put all personal feelings and thoughts out of it and just try to run a clean, smooth business, and just stay within the guidelines of what we should be doing.
So what I'm hearing is I can't get a trump card with a custom tag on it that says "just a fat Nazi."
No, and
damn it.
PC slabs are actually politically correct in that sense. Then,
yeah, I mean, you make that joke, but we've had people send in stuff like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oh, no, I mean, I have to turn down like custom label ideas all the time, and so yeah, I'm just like, we can't do this, and so we're getting ready to make a statement about that as well. Like, please don't send anything that is subjective or can cause any hostility towards any group, creed, religion, or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I can imagine that
you're offering
somebody
custom labels, but you're not like, we're not. That's not what you mean by custom labels.
We mean like not hateful.
Correct.
I can just imagine that somebody has requested. I can just imagine that somebody's requested a custom tag and like, can I have a bag of dicks on this?
Yeah, we've had people ask for dildos on them. So yes, I mean, the amount of crazy stuff my team brings me in, it's almost a joke now, because it's like, oh, you got to come see what they want on this one. And it's even crazier because people will actually print them, like create it and print it off and mail it in with their order. And I mean, just some of the stuff, I'm just like, what is wrong with these people?
It sounds like something I'd do. I'd just be like,
yeah,
can I just have dicks all over this one just because I hate this player?
Exactly. And I'm sure a lot of it's jokes, but some of it I'm like, oh man, let's not do that. Like, come on.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like, come on, there's a line there, and we're not crossing that. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Go on, people.
Because we already
in the chat. I think. Well, actually, Hendo's defending HGA here. I think the risk is assumed by the checklist creator. The grading company, in order to keep things consistent, have to stick to the checklist script.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So PSA has a lot of explaining to do. So I'm trying to find a population report on this sticker. I can't find it, the PSA version.
Don't even get me started about PSA at this point. With the amount of back and forth. So I put in a bulk sub almost a year ago. It was like November last year and December last year, just before PSA did their whole like, oh, we're going to close everything down because we're overburdened, that we should have known about like 6 months prior.
Right.
So paid for, shipped out, and now still waiting for cards to come back. In that time, I've had an order of HGA under 60 days come back, the 60 business days, like the longest one, because I was like, fuck it, like, I'm going to send some stuff in, I'm going to try you guys out, which obviously worked out all right. And also I've had 2 shipments of SGC come back in that period of time as well, and it's just like, the fuck are you doing, PSA? Like, I understand they're under a bulk sub, which you probably class lower than anything else because it's a bulk submission, but those bulk submitters are your face outside of your country for one. Like, it blows me away because it's like you would think that it would have the same time frame. It doesn't. And not only does it not have the same time frame, they also don't kind of publicly tell you where that's going, where that submission or that type of submission is at. They don't put it on any of their stats, which blows my fucking mind.
Yeah. It's I know they started doing the completed through date or something, but at least your experience is better than mine. My cards were there since because I sent a big order in last July and August. I sent in a total of 7 orders with over 1,800 cards, and they sent them back to me in, I believe, March, and said that they found out I owned HGA, and they said they were returning them for marketing purposes. So I assumed that they were afraid I was using them to scan their grades and see how inaccurate they were. So I got 7 orders with over 1,800 cards returned to me.
Did they at least give you a full refund?
Yeah. I mean, they could, they charged at the very end to us, and so they did not charge my card, but they did hold on to them for 7 months, so that was interesting.
Yeah, held on to them for 7 months, even though they clearly, have use of Google and they have 2 eyes and fingers.
Right.
Fucking baffling. Speaking about baffling things, and this is something that I do have to cover, quality assurance. Now, there was a thread recently on Facebook that was debunked pretty easily, where a dickhead decided that they would try and hype out, and then a bunch of content creators as well following without actually doing any fucking research or even asking you. We're putting like, they're firing people in droves, which obviously clearly wasn't true. I think you laid off like 3 people or something. Because of standards, which is fine, as any business is supposed to do. Hey, we've reviewed you after a couple of months of reviewing you and you haven't improved. You got to go. Sorry. But when it comes to QA and moving beyond that, and I think what I need to preface here is that a lot of the errors that are being seen at the moment are probably around consistent with the number of errors you would see from other companies based on a percentage as well. It's just blown more out of proportion because those voices are very loud at the moment. Especially considering those groups are focused on HGA and you've got, 3 different tribes all trying to vie for power for no good reason because geeks and nerds are going to be shitheads when they really shouldn't need to be. They just really shouldn't be. When it comes to QA though, and when it comes to transparency, do you have like a monthly rolling percentage of QA that is showing up errors that are happening? I assume that those are reducing, especially letting a couple of people go that were probably, problematic to that percentage that were causing some of these errors.
Yeah, so over the past month, we have started, going through and doing more in-depth reviews with our employees, and that's where we were letting it go like 2 to 3 people per department, just the people who just weren't cutting it, and they were letting stuff go through as we went through and like double checked on all what they were putting out. There was it just in QA alone, which was we have a whole QA department before they go out. 2 people that we let go from there accounted for more than 80% of the mistakes that had went out for the prior month.
Jeez, that's a big percentage.
Two people. So we went from, I think, 0.9%, so just under 1%, about 6 weeks ago, and then I think as of this week we're around 0.14% of errors that we know. So we're at like 1/10%.
And that's one of the things I was actually going to ask, which was around the percentages. But that makes it really clear because one of the things that I do know, again, my background is corporate quality assurance, and doing quality assurance is the worst fucking job in the world because you see everyone's errors all the time and you never see the good. And that's why I think it's funny when I see people in the Facebook groups like wax lyrical about how something got fucked up or how there's a spelling mistake. It's like, you know what? I deal with millions of dollars every fucking month. And I can tell you right now, out of millions of dollars, the error percentage equivalent is about $1,000. But when I see it, when I'm doing QA, it looks like it's 90% when it's really not. Clearly, in that case for you guys, it was 90% of the errors that were happening were coming from several staff members that have now been obviously let go, and that QA percentage has now dropped considerably, which is great. And that's the thing I wanted to talk about, because I don't think there is enough line of communication, or at least enough level-headed conversation around QA. Usually people will go, oh, but PSA don't make that many mistakes. And it's like, well, actually, you just don't fucking know, because PSA won't tell you. BGS
right,
won't tell you.
And also people PSA's been around longer, so when they know that if they post it on Facebook, nobody's going to care. I mean, when they post our stuff on Facebook, I'm the first person to end up being tagged. I write the person, I'm like, here, let me Cash App, Zelle, however you want your money back, send it back to us, and then we'll give you a free upgrade, give you a couple free cards, and I always take care of everybody. And so I think that's another reason I kind of created a beast, by allowing people to just blast their problems and I just come take care of them. But I think that's how customer service should be. It starts from the top and works its way down.
It should be, and it rarely is. So I'll commend you on that one, actually.
Yeah.
Because
but yeah, we all, with the QA, we have companies coming in right now, and they're starting to install computer vision programs that will be able to scan all these under, and it'll check for any errors and detections. We'll be doing some deep convoluted neural network learning to teach the different types of cards and such. So we can hopefully continue to cut down to, hopefully, we want it to be at 0%, but as close as we can get to 0% is, that's what our goal is.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
So I guess we can move on to some non-HGA stuff that we want to talk about. The first one is, what is the sport that you follow the closest? From my personal experience watching your posts, like a hawk, I'm pretty sure it's NFL, with a spot of basketball behind that, but it looks to be largely NFL.
Yep, I follow NFL diehard, and NBA, I follow it pretty closely behind NFL, but that's the main two that I follow.
What's your pick for the rookies this year from NFL? What's your top rookie?
And don't rookie quarterback. Man,
your boy Lawrence.
I'm not going to say him. I actually have a lot of high hope for Trey Lance. I think Justin Fields will do an admirable job, and Mac Jones, if he can just command that Bill Belichick offense, and just put up the Brady numbers that he did. Just I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting by the end of the season to see kind of how they play out. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is very talented, but I feel like he's been pampered his whole life. He's been put in great situations, so we'll see how he does when he's put into a bad organization and bad situation.
I just can't trust a guy who looks like Fabio. I mean, at the end of the day, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure he has a lot of talent, but like when he came in, he had so much hype around him, but just kind of didn't really hit that note, like the prodigal son, right. When you look at guys like, when Brady came in, and don't get me wrong, like Brady is, I guess, the poster child of coming in shit and then ending up shit hot. Right. Because he played like shit for like, he didn't even really play much, but when he did, he was shit for like the first 2 years, Yep. And then once he hit his hot streak, it just continued. And it's like, oh, this guy can actually play. And a lot of the rookies might be like that, which is one of the points that I like to make to people. For me, guys like, DK Metcalf look pretty good. There's a couple of guys roaming around from this year that look all right. But it's really hard to speculate, and like it has been previous years, it's been a lot easier to speculate on who is probably going to, be the cream of the crop. But this year it's just
true. I mean, I think receivers, I think Jamar Chase will probably break every rookie record. I'm real high on Jamar Chase. He's a gamer. Obviously, we know he had all of his drops in practice and stuff, but he just produces when he's on the field. And I mean, you saw that he went over 100 yards and a touchdown in his first game after, having a tumultuous offseason. And like I said, I mean, there's some good rookie quarterbacks talent, but it depends on how they're gamed, if they're gamers or not. Some guys, don't show as well in practice, but they're just good game leaders. And I think Mac Jones kind of looks like he has that game mentality. Like he's not got a lot of the intangibles, but he's got that level head when he's in the game.
Exactly. So moving on, we've got Optic Basketball. Breaks have been happening all day today, and I'm going to be honest, at 1.5k Australian a box, it looks like a fucking hot mess of way not the value that you're paying for.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? Because, and I want to preface this by saying I know that you opened some NT and got pretty fucking lucky.
Yeah.
Just a little bit with your little LaMelo.
Yeah.
But like,
I opened the very next case. I opened a case of Spectrum, pulled a 101 Wiseman logo. Logo man. Yeah. So I mean, I get pretty lucky. I opened a lot of cards. I will say that Optic is just it's expensive. I mean, I feel like even like Dunruss this year came out and it was just the Dunruss football they just released.
Expensive. I mean, even
Hoops, it is. I mean,
Hoops Hobby coming in at like 600 Australian a box, like 450 USD is just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And that's kind of like where I'm at. Like Optic, I could see it being the $400, $500 box, but at $850, I mean, you're gonna have to pull a huge card. I mean, you can hit a case hit on this on some players and still not make your money back on the box, and that's not good.
Those case hits look fucking gross anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I'm just gonna do it a bit of like an orange and red border with a little bit of design. It's like, really, Panini? Are you even trying at this point?
Yep.
Like, I feel like they need to have. I can't remember their name, but there was a couple. They just recently came back to Upper Deck to do Metal Universe, but they're the ones who designed like most of the iconic inserts from the 90s when I was first collecting. And I feel like Panini needed somebody like that, or they probably wouldn't have actually, lost these contracts so fucking easily. They probably would have because of the money side of things, let's be honest, but I think that they would have been in a better position than, like, you look at Donruss and you're like, why are these inserts not just foil? Like, why is there paper inserts in a paper set?
What? Yep, agreed. Yeah, like I said, they definitely make some mistakes with their branding and stuff, but I think right now they're riding the wave just like a lot of people in the industry, and they're just taking the money as they can because it doesn't matter what they put out, people are going to buy it up.
Hmm. So with basketball, what is your pick? Your pick for top rookie this year?
It's going to be Cade all day.
Yeah,
Cade Cunningham.
Pretty much. I was watching him in the summer league because I invested in Killian Hayes because Killian Hayes was my pick for last year, and everyone thought I was crazy, and I might be because the previous year I went all in on Carson Edwards. Don't get me started. Now with Grizz, we'll see how that goes. There's enough point guards there for him to not get time on the court. Hopefully he does get time on the court and he can show how good he balls out like he did in college. But Killian Hayes, like, I watched his European games and he just looked so good. But then he came into the NBA and, pretty much was injury after injury. And a lot of people kind of just went, oh, well, he's just a bust. But then they saw him
find his feet. You never know.
Yeah, well, but then they saw him balling out with Cade and the way that those two interact, and they're pretty much going to be, well, they should likely be sharing the same position. Hopefully they won't, because they showed in G League that they could work so fucking well together with Hayes just doing those absolutely nutso passes. Like, his assists were looking so good. He just needs to hold the ball a bit more and shoot a bit more. But, I think
Killian Hayes is definitely, right now is the time to buy Killian Hayes because a lot of people are down on him, but I think he's a tremendous talent.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I've been trying to get myself some Noir autos, and then people kind of started realizing with the G League, and they went from like $60 Australian to like 120. I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay 120 for a Noir auto, because most of the time when you get a Noir auto, they're just like, most thick cards, are always damaged because Panini can't do quality assurance on thick cards for some reason, which is fucking bullshit. I think that's probably why NT is like mostly a white card, not by design but by necessity, so it doesn't show up that damage is bad.
Yep, that's 100% accurate.
Yep. Because, if you're going to make an expensive fucking product, Panini, maybe, I don't know, do enough QA so your expensive product holds its fucking value. Just saying.
Yep.
I think the checklists are too big as well, to be honest. There's a lot of filler. it's funny because when I look at a basketball set, let's take Prism for example, right? So you've got Prism retail. I understand that one. That's fine. One autograph per box is absolutely fine. But then you've got Hobby, and Hobby has the same base cards as retail, which they did differently for Select, which they should have done differently for Prism. Absolutely for Prism because of Prism's stature. Having two autos, I get that.
Yeah.
Even Prism felt like, you know, there was like what, a 350 base set in the actual set itself. When you're buying a hobby box, you're actually buying like 90% filler that you're going to chuck in the bin, and 10% is your hits. Looking
if
at
you
that,
go back to 2 years ago, Prism had 11,000 different cards if you take in the different variations, and I think this year it was at 19,000 different cards.
That's right.
So I mean, they're just continuing to expand so they can print more boxes and sell more and just make more. And I mean, I get that, but at the same point, it's the prices are going up on the boxes and the hits are far and few between. So it's just, I mean, it's just really hurting us in the long run.
Yeah, well, it's funny because so like Fast Break is that kind of like in between product where you're still getting base, but you're getting technically more hits. But then you look at like Choice, and Choice is get rid of all the filler shit. Here's all of your like your cool looking infinites and two autos and, you know, some low numbered parallels, and it's like, well, why isn't Hobby just this? You know, like leave your retail base in retail. You know, give me Hobby that has like special base, but like reduce the footprint of your Hobby product to a smaller checklist, like they used to do, you know, at one point in the late 90s, which was a whole different thing where you had, you know, your retail box had X in it, but your Hobby box actually had Y in it because your Hobby box was the one that was going through the Hobby channel and was the more desirable for you to buy. The retail stuff was big store stuff that you could just buy anywhere, so it wasn't as valuable as that Hobby thing. And it just blows my mind. I just don't understand how Hobby isn't separated enough from retail to have a completely definable product.
I agree 100%. They should be almost completely different. I mean, they can follow the same like outlines and stuff, but at least Select does a different color base card now. But I think there should be, the insert should be completely different. You shouldn't be able to hit like your top end. Like they moved the Tiger from Choice down to retail, and so I mean, just stuff like that. I mean, it's just not good for the. It's not good for the people buying hobby boxes. I mean, I feel like you're better off half the time buying retail, and I like to chase all the big hits that are in hobby.
Yeah.
But now it's just price gouged.
And let's not forget the one of ones that are also in retail.
Right.
So it's like, well, why am I going to spend $1,600 on a fucking Select hobby box when I can spend $1,600 on like just a whole bunch of mega boxes and blasters and like, you know, chase the rainbow of, you know, a tiger, or even the elephants are selling, you know, fairly well for the big players. And it's like, that's retail. And some of those retail cards are actually selling for higher than hobby cards. What the fuck have you done, Panini? I also think that the blue base was a great idea. However, I feel like the silver base, like the grey chrome base, should actually be in retail, and the blue base should actually be in hobby. Because it looks so fucking different, and it does look really good because it's a different color. Because you're used to like the silver.
The base is, the base from the previous years, you could have bumped that down and brought the blue to the hobby, so that way it was new. And it's like, so all the previous years, you know, it's all standard across retail, where this is new, and hobby going forward would have been blue. So yeah, they messed that up. They should have flip-flopped those.
Yeah, absolutely. Just blows my mind, especially when you see some of the parallel, like the silvers, and some of the wave cards that are coming out in the retail, and the silver blue in retail looks really good. It looks really good in that like shiny, like hollow chrome on the blue, just rainbowy deliciousness. Don't understand. I really don't understand what they're doing there. So guess we'll see what Fanatics do and how Fanatics change it up.
Yeah, like I said, I think it could be a great thing them coming and taking over. I guess it could be a bad thing in some ways from some speculation, but I think overall, if they do it right, they could really help the market.
I'm just going to look at it the way that I look at it for Marvel and Disney. Like,
Yeah.
Disney pretty much have the monopoly now with, Fox and Marvel. And they're not, they're not fucking stuff up too badly. Marvel movies
Right.
are still fun for the most part.
You're still printing money.
They've got a license to print money and they're printing money, but we're actually paying the money. Whereas I feel like Panini at the moment with the box prices, with them trying to say, well, it's market demand, and it's like, is it though? Like, who's making all this fucking money? Like, it's not just the distributor and it's not just Panini. It's definitely got to be the hobby shops as well, which is, and I know that they want to make money.
There are hobby shops that don't have access to the product.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. It's not just hobby shops that don't have access. Like, there are people out there who are, specifically started businesses to try and get wholesale because that's what they've been told to do, like myself, that have basically just been told to fuck off because, allocations, mate, we can't service you for like 3 years. Well, guess what? Joke's on you, because now Fanatics will take over within 2 years, so you can fuck right off. All right, well, we might go into mail time stuff. Adam, do you have any questions?
Look, we've been talking about sporting predictions. So, I mean, we've got our biggest event over here coming up in a week. You probably don't know anything about Australian rules football, but if you had to choose between the Western Bulldogs and the Melbourne Demons, who would you pick?
We'll go with the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs?
Yep.
Good. We've got a prediction. Now, I've also got a prediction, and I don't know if it'll come true, but I think Ben Simmons could be a shot at winning Rookie of the Year again this year.
That's
That joke's
not likely.
never going to get old. I'm sorry.
Never gonna get old. He's just like team hopping. You know what? Chuck him in the fucking Lakers.
No, please don't do that to us.
No, absolutely do that. Like, let
not old
LeBron at
enough.
him.
He's not old enough to join the squad yet.
That's true. He's too young. He's too young for the old man squad.
Yep.
Do you all think Melbourne's going to win?
It's going to be an interesting game.
I don't even follow the sport.
I think Melbourne will win. I actually think Melbourne will win. They deserve it. They haven't won in over 50 years.
And they had a better record this season, I'm looking at. So
They finished on top of the ladder. So if anyone deserves the win, I think the Demons should get up.
I just like the thought of a team named after Bulldogs, which is British. Hmm?
yeah.
In the western suburbs are not. Anyway, we're not going to get into this.
All right, Taylor. Thank you very much for coming on. It is appreciated.
Well, thank you for having me.
Try and have you on again at some point. Brain stopped for a moment there.
Give yourself a bit of a plug, some socials and bits. If anybody isn't sure where to find yourself on the World Wide Web, I'm sure most people have been to the HGA Facebook group or website, but give us a bit of a plug.
Okay. Yeah, you can find us on www.hybridgrading.com. We're also on Hybrid Grading Approach on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well.
Fantastic.
On TikTok.
Yes, we're on TikTok as well.
I do some mindless scrolling on TikTok now.
I think
we're on there.
don't tell my boss.
That's the thing where you look at one video and you're there 45 minutes later.
YouTube Shorts. That's where it's at.
Ugh.
YouTube Shorts?
Apparently, there's short videos. It's just TikTok on YouTube. It's weird.
Yeah, I know one of my friends, he's not allowed to have a TikTok, but he gets and watches YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
He's not allowed to have a TikTok?
Long story.
That's for another episode.
Yes.
Today on Family Matters.
Exactly.
All right, cool, man. Well, thank you very much for hanging out. I hope you have
hanging out with us, man.
Fantastic weekend when it comes to it.
All right, you too. All right, bye.
See ya.
See you, mate.
So, Adam, we actually have some mail.
Mail
Go through.
time. Mail time.
Yeah, my stuff from
And
Cherry never
usually shit
arrived.
the program at 1:36 a.m.
Yeah, I know, right? So, which one was this from? Break 29. I have no idea who this was from, actually. Okay, well, this was from a break. It's got Revolution, so it must have been a while ago. We've got Clay Thompson.
Love Revolution as a set. I think I keep saying that.
Yeah, Kmart Jr. Keep forgetting that I've actually changed my camera angle for this. Wiggins. Yeah, like it's just oh crap, really? Oh, this was from God.
That Latrell Sprewell.
It is.
Wow.
Because the break I went in, they do like this 90s power pack.
That's cool.
And when I hit the Golden State Warriors, I hit a Latrell Sprewell, and I made a couple of jokes about, you know, choking out my coach and choking out my girlfriend because I'm Latrell Sprewell. What's up, bitches? But really, this is all I really wanted. And this was in another break I did with them. And as you can see, I haven't hit shit with them, but hitting a nice LJ for my collection is really great. Oh boy. Fuck. I'm so bad at this today. You still there, Adam?
Yeah, I am. I'm listening. My puppy's screaming at the moment.
Oh, we can't hear it, so it's fine. Fine for us, that is.
My heart's breaking at the moment. Poor thing. Oh well, gotta be strong tonight.
So this is in pretty good condition, considering, you know, how old it is.
Yeah, very much so. It's nice.
Trying to move this up. There we go. A bit more in focus. So that's a cool collection item for my Larry Johnson stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to pick up little bits and pieces like that, though.
Yeah. I went in some breaks with Box Break a couple of weeks ago. It's a while ago now, to be honest, but, you know, Australia Post taking their time. Yeah.
These look like baseball cards.
Yep, some Chrome and some Prism. No one cares about, let's be honest. However, I did happen to hit a Louis Robert rookie card in the Chrome.
Very nice.
Which has just started to skyrocket, which is fantastic. I got this cool rookie orange wave. Even I don't know if it's even got a name, to be honest. It does, I just can't see it. But this is 17 of 25. Cool, I'm sure it's worth nothing. Nice. Select patch. Again, Panini Baseball, it's not really worth much. However, Panini Prism Snakeskin is generally, you know, is alright. I think this was numbered to 35? Yes, 12 of 35.
That's nice.
But that is just absolutely gorgeous auto.
It is. It's nice hit.
Which is just kind of surprising that it hit anything at all, to be honest. More stuff. Again, shit filtering through from the backlog. But it wasn't my RPAs. A couple of weeks ago, I hit an RPA with Cherry, and another one with refreshed brakes. And I haven't received either yet, which is a real fucking shame and annoying. So we got a Drew Holiday, no one cares, basic crap, Eric Bledsoe, and the unfortunate that is this, that if it had been a good play, would have been a fucking monster hit. This numbered to 25, yes, 20 of 25, and unfortunately it just happens to be just shit. That's what makes me so angry about the whole like state of the checklist. It's like that should have been a really good hit, like an impressive hit, and instead it's just kind of trash. And you look at it and you go, why is this person even on the fucking checklist? It makes no sense at all.
That's true. I'm gonna pussyfoot around that. There's some players that, no offense, that just shouldn't be on that shit.
They just shouldn't be there. Exactly. Next up was some select NFL.
We love some NFL.
So we've got a gold George Kittle. I assume it's gold because of the base plate, but
Base plate.
I got nothing to
box.
go off. But sure, it's not numbered.
Well, that one says gold team.
Well, this one is a gold team, yeah. And then there is this, which is quite pretty. Numbered to 149.
Numbering is in an odd spot.
Just fucking. You would expect that that's probably somewhere where maybe the original design was supposed to be an auto.
Maybe.
But you know, it's a rookie. I'll take it. I'll just like chuck it in a box and forget about it.
Yeah, it might be worth millions in years to come. You never know.
Or at least $10.
Yeah.
This is all Prism that's just been chucked in the same toppy, so I assume it's worth nothing. Oh, it's not all Prism. Okay. There is a Lou Robert in the chrome full foil. And a rookie of Garrett Crochet. I'm sure
Garrett Crochet
is worth nothing.
Oh. I was going to call him Davy Crockett, but
But that Louis Robert, I should probably actually sleeve that in its own top loader and think about getting that graded at some point. Because again, Louis Robert making some good headway, making a splash. This was damaged to fuck, unfortunately.
Wow! Oh my god, I remember that set. That was the first set of basketball cards my mum and dad ever bought me for Christmas.
These 5th anniversaries usually came around for a box, so getting your favorite player was extremely hard. The thing you can't see is that there is a giant bubble on the card that goes all the way through onto the back. Bought this from eBay. They gave me a partial refund. They kept $4 and refunded me $5 and let me keep the card, so I guess it just goes in my collection anyway.
Yeah.
Just a bit disheartening because I was like, ooh, it's the 50th anniversary. 50th? 5th anniversary? Wait a second. God, 5th anniversary. 5th anniversary gold, and I was going to get this graded. But the condition it's in, I'm
bubble.
Fucking bother.
Funny how always got that nostalgic set that they just their eyes pop and go, oh my god, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Some base Carson Edwards that I got because I bought something else.
Carson Edwards in a Boston uniform. Sorry, that was going to be me just taking the piss.
I would have taken the piss too, to be honest. Now that he's a Grizz.
Apparently, these guys are yeah, the Grizz have been helping the Lakers for years under the table. There was a conspiracy theory about that today. Maybe we'll end up with Carson.
I'd be happy with that. I was saying it all last year, like why hasn't he just been traded away to the Lakers? Because he does shoot well. He just needs to be given the fucking opportunity. I hate that. What is this? Bought this weeks ago. Alright, yeah. Sure.
More Killians.
More Killians?
On, where are all these where are the hoops Killians? Are we at 100 yet?
No, not yet. Haven't been able to find more, to be honest.
This might actually be
running low. But so that's hobby base Killian Hayes, which is why I bought this grouping of cards was for this and the card
hobby
underneath.
Base. That's not the retail base.
Not the retail base. Yep.
Speaking of the retail base, I get my boxes next week. I think. I hope.
Should have bought them off. Should have bought them off me. You would have had them by now.
I didn't know you had them.
Oop. Okay, that's why. I was like, I don't understand. Are these stuck together? Yes, they are. Red, white, and blue Killian Hayes.
Looks nice.
Yeah. That's actually my second one now. I actually have another one. Let me just put this.
Because of the color scheme and the uniform.
Yeah.
It just goes it really goes well together.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that I bought this grouping for. The other one was because I wanted this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. That's a bad boy.
And I think all up this was like $20 with postage or 25 with postage.
That is sweet.
But yeah. I was just like, these two cards were really the things that I wanted. Especially considering that, like, I want to get this one graded at some point. Not unlike all other Select and Prism and all other Panini products from this year. As you can see, it is off-centered left to right.
Yeah.
Everything is. It's fucking painful.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get a 10. Oh, speaking of retail base, hang on a second.
Retail.
Oh, good, you can't see this off camera. Excellent. I did buy another lot, which had the CK Killian Hayes.
Nice. Very nice.
It had the premier level Killian Hayes retail.
Yeah, that looks hot.
Yeah, and it also had one of these, the green, blue, purple.
That is a nice looking card.
Yeah.
I like that color scheme more than I like the red, white, and blue. It's
pretty nice.
It's soft on the eyes. I think it's a well designed color scheme. I don't know. Might not work with every team.
Yeah, it might not work with every team, but you know,
it's nice. It's got that
back in
I don't know, it's a bit more subtle than that.
Yeah,
that prism red, white, and blue feel to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The last thing, hashtag thank you very much Afterpay, that I couldn't resist, numbered to 100. Numbered to 100 is a Fleer Retro Larry Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah. I could not resist.
That is nice.
And this is the Platinum Medallion.
Very nice.
So, these are actually pretty hard to find. They're especially hard to find in good condition these days, especially the Larry Johnsons, because very few of those actually got really graded and passed around.
Yeah.
And I saw this on Australian eBay, and it was like, you know what, I'm going to do it for me. I feel like I deserve it. I'm going to do it for me.
One of those purchases every now and then.
Yeah, especially considering it also had subgrades as well. I was just like, it looks cool and it looks great in my collection, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
So that was for me.
As it should be.
Well, it's not often that I really like that I actually buy myself shit these days.
Been a while since I've actually bought a card. Done more selling than buying recently.
You've done so much selling. Your Facebook sales posts have seemingly gone over very well.
Yeah. Look, I put a few cards up on Facebook. I think I'm going to do that on Twitch. Maybe once a fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a few random cards, find out what's in my boxes.
Call it Dominoes, because what's in the box?
That's it. It's just it's a bit of fun. We go through boxes and we pick a few cards to get up there, and at least a couple of Kobe's.
But if you find any Larry Johnson, you know where they're supposed to go.
I will. If I find any LJ, I know I had a Muggsy auto.
I don't care about Muggsy.
I thought I was an LJ with it, and it wasn't.
Ah, sad face. More LJ, the better.
But yes, if I find any LJ, I will. I'll send them your way for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now it is approaching 2 a.m. here in Australia, so thank you very much for everyone for hanging out. Thank you very much, Adam. Adam, what have you got to plug?
I've got to plug. I'm going to be relaying mail time on Twitch. We're going to be once every fortnight, like opening and mucking around with some basketball cards. Probably the next time I'll be opening my select mega boxes.
Ooh, you'll need to get me on for that.
And a couple of blasters to open and have a bit of fun with. And in the meantime, I'll be playing some. And whenever I am streaming, I'm normally playing Hearthstone anyway. So that's ads7281 on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, on. Is it on Facebook? No, I'm not on Facebook under that. I'm sure you find me. It's ads7281. Not too difficult.
Exactly. And this stream, of course, is brought to you by cheshbreaks.com.au. Go in there, check out the cards that are currently available. Some of them are Adam's, so buy them and make them make him happy.
Cool consignment stuff.
Yeah. And try not to pay by PayPal, because trying to get money released from them at the moment is a fucking pain in the ass. So frustrating.
Maybe PayPal.
All right. Other than that, I think it's time for us to go to bed.
I definitely think it is. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks for everybody that hung out in the chat tonight. Shout outs to Hendo, Carpet Punter, Peter B, and who popped in briefly?
Probably Cody.
Jonathan. Jonathan popped in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very briefly.
Sweet.
Say hi. Yeah, some good questions there, and a lot of fun in the chat tonight. So it was good, really good.
All right, well, we'll catch everyone
My
later.
camera was off for half of it, so I guess people were spared.
Your camera was off?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my internet's just not streaming my OBS Ninja.
No, it's probably because when I tab into Slobs, your camera disappears.
I mean,
and I don't know why.
My camera hates me. Yeah. Let's be real.
Probably. Or it's just Slobs being shit, which is also probably.
It's almost 2 in the morning. I don't forgive it.
It's time to go to bed.
Exactly right.
All right, everyone. Thank